This is like my 8th time filming this video. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophie, and today I'm going to be telling you a story about my horrible neighbors. If you are new to my channel, let me give you a little bit of background. I am a 19-year-old mom. I have a baby boy, and I live on my own. Being that I no longer live with my parents, my fiance and I rent a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house from my mom. It's on a property with a couple other houses. So the way that it's set up is we have the main big house, and then there's a small little tiny house in the middle, and then there's like a decent sized house like on the far side. So in the middle is rented by the horrible neighbors, and then the far one is rented by Junie's brother. So we first moved into this house in December. I was still pregnant, but I only had 1 more month to go. So we moved in very quickly, and it was kind of like a spur of the moment idea. At the last minute, the house was free, and we just kind of moved in. We didn't really know much about the middle guy. We just knew that the far guy at the time was getting ready to move out, and we were gonna move Junie's brother in, and it was gonna be perfect. The very first thing that happened with my neighbors, I was still pregnant, like I mentioned before, and I got out of my car, and he had a dog at the time, which he wasn't even supposed to have, and my mom didn't even know he had it. I got out of the car, and the dog was like jumping like on my stomach, and then I was trying to leave it and get in my house, and it was like acting like sketchy, like it could bite me, or like I don't know, like it did not want me to go in my house, and then it tried to follow me into my house, and it tried to like come into my house, so I had to like kind of push him out like while shutting the door. Yeah, so I was pissed about that. I let my mom know, and so she told him he had to get rid of the dog. He got rid of the dog. No problem. The next thing, Junie and I were home on a Saturday, and I was getting ready to go somewhere, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, like cleaning the kitchen before I left, and I hear like a lady yelling, so I look out the window, and this lady is like taking stuff out of the house and like sort of like sitting it like on the like little lawn like right in front, and so I'm watching, and I notice a guy comes out and like sits on the chair and kind of like gathers the stuff and like sits it next to him. And so it was the guy who gathered the things, the lady who's yelling, and then the guy who actually rents the house outside. And I'm listening, and it sounds like they're both kicking him out. So I'm like, that's confusing because there's only supposed to be 1 person living there, so why are you kicking a 3rd person out? Makes no sense. So I informed my mom that they have kicked somebody out, so somebody else was living there, which is illegal, first of all. Second of all, how? There is no way 2 people can live in that house like comfortably. No way. Like they're like breathing down each other's necks like 24/7. Like that's how small that place is. So this occurred after I gave birth, probably like a month after maybe. And I was getting ready to go somewhere with Cinco, but I'm not really sure where I was going. So they're all 3 still outside, and at the time my hair was highlighter pink. Don't ask me why. It was definitely a mistake. So I'm getting ready to go, and I am in the middle of putting Cinco in the car, and I hear this lady scream. And it's not a scream, but like she was like really yelling at me, so I'm like automatically like nervous, like, and I'm like, what did you say? And she was like, I like your pink hair. And I was like, thank you. And then she like started like dancing, no music, just dancing on like the 2 front stairs that go into the house. So I'm like okay, and I walk away and I like walk into my kitchen, and like she's still like out there dancing, like just dancing, and the 2 guys are just like standing there, or no, one guy's just sitting there like a freaking zombie, like he literally looked like a dead man living. And then the guy who like actually rented the house was like like pacing back and forth like along the driveway. So I was like, okay, like these people are like obviously on something, like it's like pretty obvious now. The next thing I started to like really notice, especially when I came back from the hospital, the traffic like in and out of his house was like crazy all the time. Like all times of night there were people there in and out, and it's not like they were like going and like visiting. They would like go in for like 0.2 seconds and then come back and get in their car. Like I know when I go and visit people, like I want to go hang out, take my jacket off, you know, like spend some time, since I drove all that way to come see you. So I've never went to somebody's house for 0.2 seconds like every day, you know what I mean? Like, hello, red flag. And that brings us to the finale. The other morning, I woke up like I usually do at 5 and started making Junie's lunch. I pack his lunch every day. So I am packing lunch and I hear somebody like yelling. And so I go to the kitchen window like I normally do, and this is what I saw. It's now about 5:40 and the door has been open for like 30 minutes. Five in the morning. What? 5 in the morning, outside. Yelling. She was yelling like, oh my god, I can't right now, oh my god. And then she was like gagging and then like spitting everywhere. Like it sounded like she was vomiting, but she was like spitting. I don't know. And then she was like, I can't even right now. I can't even right now. But she stood up so weird. Like it was sort of like she jolted up and then she like walked in the house really fast. And like with a pot of something in her hand. I'm like, okay. It was probably like the weirdest thing I've ever seen my whole entire life, besides the second thing I'm about to tell you. So then she is like coming in and out of the house, like saying, oh my god, I can't, and a bunch of other weird stuff, and then pouring the pot, like she kept coming back with like pots full of water, and then was just like dumping them like all over the front stairs. And then she went back inside, grabbed like a Tervis tumbler, if you know what that is, and like filled it all the way like to the top with water, or at least it was like clear liquid, because you can like see through a tumbler and like you could see that was water. By the way, that's how like close their house is to my house. So she takes like one like weird sip out of it. It's like, okay, I'm gonna show you. It's about to look really weird. She was like, it was like that. It was weird. And I was like, okay. And then she just poured the water everywhere. I'm like, all right. Then she like went back in the house, left the door open for like an hour. So in this hour, I am sending my mom like the videos of like everything that you've just seen, and she says, call the cops. And I'm like, what the hell do I look like calling the cops? I'm not gonna call, like, what are they gonna do for me? Like, right now it's just a simple noise complaint. Like, they can't just bust in there, you know what I mean? Like, it's not gonna do any justice. So my mom takes it upon herself to call the cops for me and says, I'll be there in a second. Okay, so my mom pulls up and she like shuts the door, and then one cop car pulls up, another cop car pulls up, and a third cop car pulls up. So I'm in my pajamas, looking out my kitchen window and watching these cops. Which is definitely a bit unnecessary to send 3 cops to a noise complaint. The cops are here and they're like banging on the door and nobody's answering. So they go around back and kind of like are looking in like the house windows, and they can clearly see the lady that I said was screaming, and I visually saw 3 people walk in there before the cops showed up. So there were at least 3 people in there. So the cops just keep knocking and knocking, but they can't really do anything because they can't tell that there's a threat inside, and they don't really have a, what's the word? I took criminal justice, I should know this word. Probable cause. They didn't have a probable cause and they didn't have a warrant, so they couldn't get in. So they ended up just leaving. But right after they left, probably like 20 minutes, all the people cleared out, and they cleared out like all their stuff. Like they had like a giant white trailer parked back there. So they like cleared everything out within 20 minutes after the cops left. So obviously they were doing something illegal that they didn't want the cops to see when they came back. So yeah, whatever they were doing in that house was not right. She was clearly on something. They were all clearly doing drugs, obviously. Like, it was obvious. So later that day, after she left and the cops left and everything, she called me and she told me that the guy who rents the middle house is locked up. He's not even there. So for 3 weeks, the people that were in and out of there, living out of there, doing crazy drug were there without permission. They were just random little crackhead squatters while the guy was in jail. You know how dangerous that is to me? You don't know those people, you don't know what they're capable of. They could have broke in like on some crack shit and like hurt me, hurt Cinco, hurt any one of us. Like, that is not something I want around my family, you know what I mean? We're working on getting him out. My mom is trying her hardest, but it's hard. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my story, and if you had something similar happen to you in your past, make sure you let me know in the comments. I would love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this story, leave a like on my video, and I will see you in the next one.